Welcome to World Facts. So this time I will discuss interesting facts about everything in the world for those of you who want to know. Let's watch the following video.
How many people died for the Qatar World Cup? As the World Cup in Qatar draws closer, criticism mounts. Human rights activists, politicians, fans and media speak of 6,500, even 15,000, alleged deaths in relation to the soccer tournament. But are the numbers correct? Since Qatar won the rights to host the 2022 World Cup, there has been a debate over its treatment of foreign workers and the human cost of the event. There are various estimates of how many workers have died on the World Cup construction sites in Qatar, but the true figure is difficult to ascertain. This fact check looks at figures published by FIFA, the Qatari authorities, human rights groups and the media, which have consistently been referred to as fact, misleading or even false. The authors are aware that these figures only convey a vague impression of the suffering allegedly endured by migrant workers in Qatar. The World Cup in Qatar has cost the lives of 6,500, even as many as 15,000, migrant workers. The widely reported figure of 15,021 migrant worker deaths in connection with the World Cup in Qatar originates in a 2021 Amnesty International report. Just as widely reported is the figure of 6,500, first published by The Guardian in February 2021. Although these figures have been used to back up this claim multiple times since these reports were published, neither Amnesty International nor The Guardian ever claimed that all these people died on stadium construction sites, or indeed even in the explicit context of the 2022 World Cup. Both figures refer merely to non-Qataris of various nationalities and in various occupations who have died in Qatar in the past decade. The figure of 15,021 quoted by Amnesty International was obtained from official statistics from the Qatari authorities themselves, and refers to the number of foreigners who died in the country between 2010 and 2019. Between 2011 and 2020, it was 15,799. 15,000 dead, but not only for the World Cup's sake. This includes not only poorly qualified construction workers, security personnel or gardeners who may or may not have been employed on World Cup-related projects, but also foreign teachers, doctors, engineers and other business people. Many did come from developing countries such as Nepal and Bangladesh, while others arrived from middle or high-income nations. The Qatari statistics don't allow any further, more detailed breakdown. As for The Guardian, journalist Pete Pattison and his team based their total figure of 6,751 on official statistics from the governments of Bangladesh, India, Nepal, Pakistan, and Sri Lanka, whose citizens make up a significant proportion of migrant workers in Qatar, in particular poorly qualified workers. Qatar does not deny either figure. Indeed, in response to The Guardian, the country's government communications office said, although each loss of life is upsetting, the mortality rate among these communities is within the expected range for the size and demographics of the population. But is that true? The mortality rate among these communities is within the expected range for the size and demographics of the population. According to the Qatari government, 1,500 deaths per year among 2 million people is a normal average mortality rate. Firstly, it should be stated that, according to the World Health Organization, general mortality rates for migrant workers in Qatar are lower than they are in their home countries. In fact, even the mortality rate among Qatari citizens is higher than that among migrant workers in Qatar. However, given that migrant workers in Qatar are not representative of the general populations in their home countries or in Qatar, such figures are misleading. Migrant workers in Qatar are fundamentally healthy upon arrival. For instance, the proportion of small children and elderly people, demographic groups with the highest mortality rates, among migrant workers in Qatar is clearly incomparable with that among a general population of any country. Furthermore, migrant workers in Qatar, whatever their background or job, are generally healthy people who have to pass a whole range of medical checks in order to obtain a Qatari visa. Filtering out potential applicants with infectious diseases such as AIDS/HIV, hepatitis B and C, syphilis or tuberculosis. Such statistics also don't include migrant workers who pass away after returning to their home countries. In Nepal in the past 10 years, for instance, authorities have recorded a significant increase in the number of fatal cases of kidney failure among men aged 20 to 50, many of whom had just returned from working in the Middle East. The hard work in the Gulf weather conditions, combined with low quantity and low-quality drinking water, as reported by those affected, would explain this, according to health experts in Nepal. There have only been 3 work-related deaths on World Cup stadium construction sites. Both FIFA and the Qatari World Cup Organizing Committee insist that only 3 people have died as a direct result of their work on World Cup construction sites. FIFA and Qatar's official definition of work-related deaths refers to fatalities on construction sites for the 7 brand new stadiums, as well as training facilities Qatar has built in the last decade.